Look at that. You gonna see it? It's like, oh yeah, it leaks. Let's put gasket maker on it. Push rod fury. Oil change day. We changed all 3 oils on the 69 Triumph. I've had this thing for almost a year and a half, maybe a year and a half. Time to change all the oils. Anyway, 3 oils. Engine and primary are the same, which is weird compared to a Harley, and the transmission is separate. So we'll dive right into it. And I've already run it around a couple of miles, maybe 4-mile ride. It's been sitting out for like 20 minutes. So let's get started. Do not want to touch the muffler with my arm. Ha. That's the problem there. Let's see. Well, some dipshit went a little crazy tightening things up. Okay, it's safe to say that probably not the smartest person owned this before me. Gee whiz. What a mess. Why would someone put a drain plug on that hard? Well, let's get this is screwed up. Alright, I'll be back. Look at that. You gonna see it? It's like, oh yeah, it leaks. Let's put gasket maker on it. Because that won't end up in the sludge trap and kill the motorcycle. Now to the primary. Hey, and here's the primary drain. There's no adjuster, which is weird to me. It's supposed to have an adjuster. So I'm using a Whitworth 3/16 wrench here. It's supposed to be about 350 cc's coming out of there, and it is definitely not. The other thing is, you'll notice how thick that oil is, and that's supposed to be, see how thick that is? That's supposed to be the same viscosity as the engine oil. So I think they're running the wrong grade oil. Alright, let's get the primary open. Pick these tools up from Lowbrow. Looks like someone monkeyed with it with a screwdriver in the past. Wacky. Oop, that's the wrong way. It's tightening it. There we go. That's the smart way to do it. Okay. And we're also going to adjust the clutch, check the primary tension, which I don't understand. Like, why would they remove the primary adjuster? So that's the primary. We'll leave that attached. So yeah, you're supposed to have a 1/2 inch of free play. That's about right. Yeah. Ow, it's hot. Whew. That's about right. Adjust the clutch, and first you slacken this thing off. That's screwed all the way in. Plenty of slack. Okay. Loosen that a little bit. And then with this guy, I've done this before, I think. Yeah, he's an adjustment. So I'm just going to loosen him up a little bit, this nut. So I have room to play. So I have it touching the, it says to screw back the adjuster when okay. Until the pressure plate just starts to lift. Well, I can't see if the, what does that mean when there's friction? Boop. So I have pressure here. So if I go off a quarter pressure, quarter, we already determined that that's touching. Then we're going to go back a half a turn like that. I'm just going to hold it steady and tighten the I'm just going to give it a little bit of a we want 1/8 of an inch of free play here, and that's more like a quarter. So we're going to screw this in a little bit. I'm going to hold that tray so it doesn't. Whew. Look at that mess. So now we have to loosen this hose. And now we've got to take the oil tank strainer off. Here's the strainer for the oil tank. I don't know if you can see. Can you see it? Yeah. So there's little pieces of debris, so the filter worked. It's really fine. So that's good news. Alright, get it all cleaned up.
The oils have all been draining for almost a week, I guess. Anyway, we're gonna fill all of the tanks, and we're gonna see that the primary on the T120R that gets 350 cc's, and that's 20 weight or 20 W50, same as the engine oil. And the gearbox gets a different, like an 80 weight. So looked all that stuff up. And the other thing is lots of fiber washers and factory recommended changes. So I also learned from the Bonneville shop that you should change the strainer basket on the crankcase. It has a fiber washer, or no, it has a copper washer, and they want you to switch to this O-ring. And then everything else is a fiber washer, and so we've got a few different fiber washers here. So this fiber washer is the oil tank drain plug. These go to the oil tank strainer. This goes to the gearbox drain plug. This goes to the primary drain plug. And these O-rings were mentioned in a factory service like update where they said, hey, use these types of O-rings. These are also used in the push rod tubes as well. They said the specific part number. These work for the crankcase strainer. Before I used any of the fiber washers, I soaked them in oil for like 3 hours to get them to kind of swell a little bit. I heard that's a good move before installing. And then I installed all the drain plugs. I didn't make a video of that. This pen grade. So I did some reading about best oils for these older bikes, and this company sort of had a compelling argument that this is formulated for engines engineered prior to 1980s or so, and spelled out a bunch of different things about how this oil behaves differently than modern oils and doesn't have to, it's not necessarily designed for engines that have to comply with modern EPA requirements and so on. So the other interesting thing is all our oils are green, naturally green, and they are all sourced from oil from Pennsylvania. So this is all sourced and made in Pennsylvania. This goes into the gearbox, and it gets a half a liter, so 500 cc. So we'll measure all that out. So we're going to add 500 cc's of gear oil to the gearbox right there. This top mark, this holds exactly 500. It's rich emerald green. And clean the funnel inside and out. So no funny business there. And this gearbox was drained for almost a week as I was waiting for parts to come in, so fill it right up. Okay, that should do it. I'm going to put the primary oil through the top because it's easier. I've adjusted the clutch. The clutch push, whatever, clutch adjuster there. If you get that wrong, it clicks. It's a little bit of a pain to get it back where it goes. Okay, 20 weight goes in the primary, 20W50. And this gets 350 cc's, liter or so. Again, it's that emerald green. Lighting's a little different from this angle, so you might not see it. And I put all the drain plugs back. I followed the pre-oiling of the fiber washers recommendations. Say in some corporate settings. Okay. Oops, helps if you tighten and not loosen. There we go. Given my reluctance to trust, it's going to go a little differently than maybe you'd think. So what we're going to do is, this is going to be a multi-day experiment, because I'm not going to start the bike up, ride it today. So what I'm going to do though is I'm going to put 1 quart in, and I'm going to check back on the bike. We'll check back on the bike tomorrow and see if any of this oozed past. It takes 6 pints. So 3 quarts. So we'll come back in 24 hours and see if we have a leaky problem. And then to help detect the leaks, because it's kind of all black under there, put a little shop towel in there. Allow any potential oil leak to kind of show up more visibly. It's on there. All right, we'll be back in 24 hours. So let's see where we have oil leaking on this side. Oh yeah, we got oil coming out. That's wonderful. Oil everywhere. I guess you can't escape it. A little oozing. Nothing bad, some droplets. I'm sure you can see here and there. But I wonder who has an oil-tight Triumph. Maybe I'll snug down these. You gotta be careful snugging stuff down. One thing's for sure though, it leaks like crazy from the push rod tube and then down the front of the case here. So I think they just put the wrong size push rod seals in. I'm just gonna wipe this. Anyway, change the oil, got that done. Didn't eliminate any leaks. I don't think my leaks are any worse than they were. But I really didn't like finding all that little sealant all over the threads, because my God, you get sealant in your oil passages, forget it. Things are toast. Anyway, again, not a how-to, just that's what I did. If it helps, great. If not, I'm sure I'll hear about it. All right, thanks. Hey, and subscribe, like, share, all that stuff. And yeah, let me know if you have any questions, comments, or want to see something that you haven't seen yet. All right, thanks. Bye.